Fleck of Soltar Solutions here on Focus Forward today with Mark Adams, and we are going to be talking about private labeling. What does the beginner need to know? Thanks so much for being here, Mark.
Oh, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I know you have such a long history with private labeling. Give us a little bit of insight into maybe how you got started and how long you've been doing it.
Gosh, I've been doing this what seems like a whole professional lifetime, I guess. But I started out way back in 1989 and had a chain of clothing stores, or built a chain of clothing stores in malls, and people actually used to go shop in malls. What a concept. But we basically created and branded our own private label brand of clothes. And as I built it up and sold that, I've done a few different businesses since then, but all of them had to do with private labeling in one form or another, where we were either creating or buying or manufacturing a product. One of the things that we did most recently before we got into the Amazon was I had a private label winery. And that's where literally what we did is we created wine under our own brand and sold it, but we also, as a manufacturer, would put other people's label on the bottles themselves so they could sell it under their brand. So for 25 years now, I've been involved in private labeling way before the internet, and now most recently on Amazon. And right now I do a lot of, or I'm a full-time Amazon seller, but also do a course on Amazon, and also do a lot of coaching and take people to trips on China to buy. But basically my life just revolves around everything around private labeling and Amazon.
So just a question about private labeling is, because I've had a little bit of experience with private labeling, but in one industry, is private labeling all the same? Once you get the concepts, you can pretty much do it? Or is there big differences in industries?
I think that's all conceptually the same. I mean, private labeling has been around since the beginning of time, and it's even flourishing now, and just not with small Amazon sellers. If you look at Apple, I mean, Apple has their iPhones made in China, branded with the name Apple. It's imported to the United States and sold here and other places throughout the world. Years and years ago, I mean, as the Chinese economy has developed more into a manufacturing economy, used to in the small towns of the United States, everything a generation ago, furniture, textiles, things like that, where I am, even other manufacturing went to China. You had to be a really, really big company to be able to benefit from being able to have your manufacturing outsourced. Now, as kind of China's economy has become, even though they still kind of have a communist government, the economy, they allow more and more capitalist type things where people can own factories, own businesses, things like that. And as small people are starting to create manufacturing factories, it allows those of us who are not Target, Walmart, other places to be able to come in, order a few hundred pieces, very inexpensive, very small quantity of money, to be able to have our products made under our brand, just like Apple, just like anybody else, and bring it into the world's largest market, in this case Amazon, and then our online market, I should say, and then be able to sell it. So that's really all private labeling is. It could be different variations under different things, certainly, but to me it's nothing more than outsourcing your manufacturing. And the beauty of this is that all of the factories I've dealt with and companies in China, they're very willing to make it however you want a product. Typically you're going to go in, maybe you change your color, you change the packaging, all the way up to completely having a brand new product made under your specifications. But the quantities are available at very reasonable amounts, and it's a practice that's been around forever. It's just now affordable for those of us who are individuals, and I think it will only get better and easier going forward.
So once someone learns how to private label, for instance, if they take your course in private labeling, or even someone else's, once they understand the concept of private labeling, it's easy to transfer that throughout industries. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I try and teach people to develop a brand, because unlike people who are on the internet and selling digital products, there's really not any tangible value to that at the back end. Part of, in my business career, where I've been very fortunate, is I built up and sold 6 tangible physical businesses. And I was very fortunate that I got paid a good bit of money on the sale of the businesses, not just to operate. Here, you're building a tangible, viable brand that if you end up having 4, 5, 6 different products, somebody down the road, whether it be within that industry, another Amazon seller, somebody will pay money for that brand if you choose to leave it. You can, or to leave the business. You can give it to your kids, you can sell it to your kids. There's an upside at the back end of this that as this industry matures, you're going to see more of it. But to specifically answer your question, you could sell any product. I mean, it's all the same concept. And it's just you got to think of each product literally as a widget. So looking at my desk now, I mean, gosh, I could sell Rolodexes, I could sell plastic cups, I could sell calculators, I could sell anything because the process is the same. You identify the market, see if you can have a product made and all the numbers work, and then you introduce them to the market, and then you do get your reviews and other marketing. It's kind of like the old shampoo commercials. It's rinse, wash, and repeat once you have the process down. And I've been in a lot of businesses, and for me, this is the easiest thing to do because, again, it doesn't require all types of industry knowledge. There are things out there that you can readily identify as, hey, this is a pretty good market, and then you just find a supplier and you have it made. Of course, nothing's easy by any means, but the question is this doable for most people? Yes, and that's the. I'm just convinced that with all the things I've done, this is by far and away the easiest of all things throughout my business career.
So now I have a question. People who are already involved in Amazon, maybe they're doing arbitrage, maybe they're buying things and creating their own little products, but they're not private labeling. How do they know when they are actually ready to dive into private label? Do you have a formula that you use, or?
Well, the formula is when you get tired of going to Target every Monday, Walmart every Tuesday, and you realize that arbitrage is fine. Arbitrage is simply another way of buying low and selling high. That's traditional in our society. And there's nothing wrong with arbitrage by any means, and I'm not anti-arbitrage. However, it's a job. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes persistence and getting up and getting out of bed when you don't want to. This is you're basically, the analogy I use is you're a farmer. You plant, you harvest, you plant, you harvest, you continue to repeat the cycle. When you're a private label seller, you do the work once, and then you continue to get paid on a semi-passive form going forward. It's much like planting an orchard, where you plant the tree. It may take a little bit longer for the tree to mature, but it bears fruit year after year after year after year. And I'm at a stage in my life where I would rather have my mind work than my back work. So to me, if somebody wants to do arbitrage, to know when you want to shift, we have so many people who they get tired of the grind of arbitrage, and it's hard to scale that model. So we're going back to what we were talking about before. So you want to start selling staplers, and then you want to go to plastic cups. It's just a matter of you sitting behind a computer or going to China or whatever you're doing, finding products that, if you have a knack for finding products, you can scale this to millions of dollars. And there are quite a few people who have multi-million-dollar Amazon businesses.
That's
I don't
amazing.
know what arbitrage should get beyond a few $1,000s.
Right. I totally get it. That's the best. That is really the best description or best advice that I have heard, because people have certain formulas, and if you're doing this, and if yours is so basic. When you're sick and tired of running to Target Monday and Walmart on Tuesday, you're ready. I love that. That's great.
I'm not much beyond basic. I'm not a complex guy, so I joke, and every time I do a seminar or something, I say the dumber I get, the more money I make. It's funny. It's funny in this business that we all tend to, smart people overthink things. And I've gone through that phase. We all have. And it's we've all heard the KISS principle. We all know we all believe that. But it's harder to put that into application than it sounds. But as I coach people, they want to go off on all these tangents. They want to do all these things. And I want to just reach and grab the computer screen and say, just find more products and you'll make all the money you want to make. This is the most simplistic business in which I've ever been involved.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so now you've given us so much great advice. This is awesome. Can you give me 3 tips that could help somebody who wants to do private label but maybe doesn't really know how? Just 3 tips.
I think probably the easiest thing is a lot of people who are in the Amazon arena, community, for lack of a better word, because you're around people every day who are doing it. I'll get a lot of emails. Is the Amazon business full? Is it saturated? And I smile and I laugh because it's still at its very, very much its infancy. Amazon continues to add new buyers at an alarming rate. I mean, for every Amazon seller, maybe 100 buyers come in, and those buyers continue to buy more. So step one is don't be afraid that there are already people in the market. There are still millions and millions of products left. So just go full speed, forget about all the other stuff, and let all those people sit in the sidelines while you're making money. The second thing I think in here too is that spend your time researching the market. Most people want to come into this and look for a product and then try and cram it into a market. That's the complete opposite way of doing this. Because they're familiar with a certain hobby or interest, they try and take their product and make it work. Which that's kind of, as the old expression goes, that's just backwards. So find and make sure your market is accommodating, and then have a product produced to the market. It's not exciting. It's not thrilling, but it's kind of boring actually. But that's the way you make, and just don't care about what your product it is, as long as it's legal, as long as it's ethical, and you feel comfortable selling it, then that's how you make money. Again, not exciting to talk about at parties, but that's how you make money. And then the third thing in this is that this is a learning curve. I mean, I have a philosophy which I teach is everybody gets enamored by the presentation, the webinar. Oh, I made $1 million in 2.6 days, and you can too, and that kind of stuff. And I always roll my eyes and think how silly that is. Now that is sexy, that's exciting, that's the magic bullet, that's what we all want to hear. We all want to get the diet pill, lose 50 pounds in 2 days. But deep down, you know that diet and exercise is really what works. With this is not a hard business. It's not a time-consuming business relative to others. You still have to work. You still have to go through things. However, what I try and suggest to people is do $1,000 a month product or a profit type of product each month, and go through the low-hanging fruit. Go through the learning curve. Learn what you're doing, and then build this slowly, gradually. And then if you can just scale up at that point, which again, very different than arbitrage, once you know what you're doing, it's just simply a matter of finding products and rinse, wash, and repeat. And that's the very, very simple thing that, again, I'm not much on hyperbole, because I don't think people are stupid. And I've seen so many of my students go that path, and even in relatively short term, 6, 8, 9, 10 months, build six-figure plus businesses, leave their jobs, all the things that they got into the business for in the first place, and then try and go for that $50,000 a month first type product, because they weren't ready for it. They didn't have enough experience to do it, and they got frustrated and then quit. But if you can kind of build up, get some confidence, do what you're doing, then you can go as broad and as many products as you want, same brand or different brands, different products, whatever it is that you choose. There's a lot of directions for you to go to do that. It's not so much a tip. Lori's, I guess, is a philosophy, a helpful thought concept maybe, because tips are fine, but in all of this is all about mindset. This is all about, and it's true of any business, I think, but if you approach this with you're building something for the long run that will pay off for years to come. I mean, when I first started back in 1989, the standard thought was, well, it's going to take 2 years before you can be profitable in a business. I was fortunate to be profitable in the first month, and many, many people are as well. However, it builds slowly and slowly, and it's like compound interest. But anyway, that's one of those long answers to your question there. But I hope that was helpful, because I think those are things that are really important.
Well, it's been a wonderful, wonderful answer, because I think that that's really true. It is really a philosophy. And I think that too many people go into it saying, oh, I'll just sell this and I'll make the money. But there is thought behind it. And a lot of people don't understand that. So when you're talking about the philosophy, I think that you're giving great advice. That's really important for people to understand that there's more thought that goes through it. You really need to be very mindful and present and watch what's going on. Because I've seen people that have had, I meet a lot of people that have been on Amazon for a while and haven't sold anything. And I got on Amazon and I started selling right away. I mean, I've done very, very well. I mean, you know, there's people that have been, you know, they're in the millions. I'm not doing anything like that. But for me, considering that it's only been 6 months, I'm doing very well. I'm very happy. But I can see the growth potential, and I can also see the steps to get there. I'm not believing, this is the thing I think that's really important, I don't believe that anything is going to sell on Amazon if you just throw it up there. It's not going to happen. You need to have, you know, processes in place. You need to understand the system. Like everything has a system. Amazon has a system as well. So when you're talking about, oh, you like to keep it simple, being simple and keeping something simple is really where the brilliance is. So that's what I really liked about what you had to say. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You've given us so much great advice.
Well, thank you again, and very happy to do it. And hopefully the mindset part is something somebody will take to heart, because again, the day-to-day logistics of this business are doable. But I guess mindset is something that the more I get experience in whatever I'm doing, the more I'm convinced it's about judgment, it's about decisions. And I truly believe whether it's Amazon or other, that's what separates the people who, as you said, did make money and those who did.
Exactly.
So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much. Was that fabulous or what? Mark Adams gave us so much great advice on the show today. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed it. Lori Flecter, Soltar Solutions, thanks so much for tuning in to Focus Forward, and please subscribe.